generation of my family doing wines. I'm a winemaker. I studied here in Uruguay, and then I learned a lot visiting and working in a lot of places and countries around the world. My first vintage outside Uruguay was in California. So and then I continue doing some research and working in some other countries. When I came back home, I decided to try new things, new techniques. I had a lot of ideas to develop, and in my family winery, it's like I told you, it's almost 100 years old. Uh, the wines that we do are very classic Uruguayan style. That is normal if you don't know which style I'm talking about, because like Niko says, Uruguay is not very well known for doing wines. But I just told you that story because it's the first kick to start my own company and my own winery, doing other kind and other style of wines, the wines that I wanted to do. Because with my family, we are a team of winemakers, so we decide a lot of things. Here is a very small winery. Actually, Niko and myself are the only employees, and of course we hire some people for harvest time and this. So that is why I started with Viña Progreso. Viña Progreso is the name of the winery because it's the city where we live, is where we are here. It's called Progreso, and it means progress in English. So it was like not a joke, but something that shows the town where we are, and also like something new and continue with the progress.
No, and also the style of the winery and what Gabriel wants to communicate with Viña Progreso is that it's like a change in the style of winemaking and the communication of wine from Uruguay. Because Uruguay, for many years, had like a very defined style in the wines with a lot of oak, a lot of like big wines, big red wines. So with Viña Progreso, we want to show another aspects from Uruguay. So
wait a minute, please.
Gabriel is working. We are at the winery and we have things to do. We are like almost starting harvest next week. We're gonna start with the Pinot Noir. So Gabriel is like going and out. But I will talk about Uruguay in general, and then Gabriel will talk about the wines. And another thing, if you have any questions or comments, it would be nice because we don't like monologues. We like the interchange of ideas. And I will talk about Uruguay, and then you can ask me questions, or you can tell me ideas that you have to communicate about our wines. That would be important as well, because you know your markets better than I. So I think it's good to interchange ideas. In the case of Uruguay, we are located in 34 South, parallel 34 South. We are in the same of Mendoza, Cape Town. So we have the same sun of those wine origins, but we are on the Atlantic Ocean. The vines that we work with, we are like 20-25 kilometers from the Atlantic Ocean. So we have that maritime influence that those other origins don't have. Okay, it's like Argentina, they have to go up in the Andes looking for freshness. Luckily, we have it from the ocean. So I think that is one of the important characteristics of Uruguay in the terroir style.
Another thing that I don't know if Niko says is another key to make a difference between Uruguay and or at least the south of Uruguay where we are, is that we do dry farming. So we don't irrigate. that is something really important because there's like in the new areas where the big wineries are planting, they need to use irrigation. So we prefer the way we have because it's all natural. We don't modify anything. We just cut the leaves and do green harvest, this kind of things, of course, but we don't irrigate at all.
In the case of Viña Progreso, as I told you, the vines we work with are like 20, 25 kilometers from the ocean. We are in Canelones region, which is like the classic winemaking area in Uruguay. You have like many or like 85, 90% of Uruguay is in Canelones, and Progreso is in the center of Canelones. In our area, we have like clay calcareous, like very mineral soils. And we like to say that we are halfway, like in the style of our wines, halfway between New World and Old World. Like we are like a Old World winery or Old World wines style in a New World country. Okay, I think I like to say this kind of comparison in order to people understand Uruguay. You know, we compare with other places. Like we like to say that we have a Burgundy soil with a Bordeaux climate, and I think that people from wine business and people from wine they will understand.
Because look what Niko wants to say about the Bordeaux climate is because everybody thinks that in South America uh, everything is like Mendoza, so it's a very dry place, and it's not like that. Like in Bordeaux, we have rains. Luckily, not during harvest time, but then in winter and autumn, we have an amount rainfall about the same in Bordeaux, and that climate thing explains a lot of flavors and aroma in the wine. You know, we always have a little bit more acidity, a little bit more crispy wines, better to have with food, a little like a lot of places in Europe. less alcohol. We have like more fresher wines.
Like for you to continue understanding Uruguay, imagine that we have the same size of San Emilion in terms of hectares. We have like 6,000 hectares roughly. So we are the size of San Emilion, which is a part of Bordeaux. You know, it's like an area of Bordeaux. Imagine that in Uruguay we are like 150 wineries in total, like only 20, 25 doing fine wine for exports. The rest is all like table wine for domestic market. And in the US, like only maybe five or six wineries like working the market and being proactive in the market. So Uruguay is unknown, it's not so present in the market, and for us as a small winery, I think that is a good thing. It's like we are a niche origin, a niche winery for a niche consumer, you know. So I think that is a positive side of Viña Progreso. I know that selling Uruguay is not easy. We know that take time because I'm selling wine for the last 10 years almost. So we know that it's not easy, but I think that we are special because we are unknown. You imagine that you only have 5 wineries or 6 wineries in the US, and you have one like very big that they are doing a great job for the rest of us communicating Uruguay. But then it's like we have room. We have a lot of room for growing and for introducing our wines in new places, because it's not a fight that maybe you can have with an Argentinian producer or a Chilean producer. Uruguay, I think that is different in that way.
And one thing that Sorry, Shelly. Go.
Well, sorry, before you just move on, Niko, can you talk through the names of those brands that are the ones that are in the US? Because I think it's important that we can acknowledge and recognize them in the market.
It's a good. I have it on my mind. I was like, because with Gabriel, we share a little bit the talking. I was supposed to talk about that. Well, the big winery from Uruguay is Garzón, that you can find everywhere. They are like a big investment from the richest guy in Argentina, oil producer, that he likes to have wineries around the world. He has like 15 wineries in many places, in Europe, in Australia, in California, Argentina. And Garzón is the special wine for them, the special one. So it's a big investment. They are doing good wine for a good price for Uruguay, which is great for the rest of us. They are not selling like shitty wine in a cheap price. So for us, it's a good representation of Uruguay. It's not the typical Uruguay because, in my opinion, it's very personal. In my opinion, the wines are very international style. They don't have nothing to do, like nothing to say about Uruguay. But at least the wines are good. So they are doing a good job. And they are communicating and they promote a lot. They are all over the place in all the big magazines, and all the big places. So they are doing a good job for Uruguay. And then the other winery that you can find in the market is Bouza, which is a very small and boutique winery with a great restaurant here in Montevideo. One of the best restaurants in Montevideo is from Bouza, which is a winery. They are focused on tourists, and they have a different style. It's another investment from one of the richest guys from Uruguay.
Totally different with Garzón. I mean, in terms of volume, Bouza maybe you can see in the States, but probably just in fine restaurants or very few liquor stores, because they are okay. My winery is even smaller, but they are a very small winery, and Garzón is huge. In terms of Uruguay, Garzón is very big.
Imagine that Garzón is the biggest winery in Uruguay, and maybe how many bottles is producing?
1 million and something.
Almost 2 million of bottles. So for Uruguay, it's huge, but for South American standards, it's small. If you compare with the big wineries in Argentina or big wineries in Chile, it's nothing. But for Uruguay, it's big, and they are doing the work of putting Uruguay on the map. And then Viña Progreso, the one that I had the opportunity to work in the States, they already listened to this. I always talk about Viña Progreso as the alternative of Uruguay. Because besides, you have other wineries in the market like Bouza, you have Niko or Familia Deicas, which is another one, or you have Pisano, which is in another place, and is another story. But I always say that Viña Progreso in the States, luckily because we are with Copafina and we have a good distribution in the whole country, we are the alternative. It's like you have Garzón, the big one, the international style, all the fancy stuff, and then we try to communicate a more real stuff from our country and the alternative.
We are very happy. I am taking something that Niko says earlier, a couple of minutes ago, that we are very, very happy of being with Copafina because we think the team and you guys are the best people to sell our wines, because we do like personal matching. We sell the wine to the people that want to buy for us. I mean, when they are really interested in tasting something different. It's not a wine, even for the label, it's not a wine that you are going to forget really easy. It's it needs to be sell, need to be tell the story that about us and about the country. So if we were in another importer, a bigger one, we probably we are going to be at the back, and here we feel very comfortable because we know the portfolio of Copafina is really well done, so it gives opportunity to everybody. Of course, some of the wines are going to be sorry, my English is very rusty, are going to be more sold than others, but that is a good way for us for being in the correct importer, from being small and from niche. It's like Niko says, it's something that for somebody could be something bad. For us, it's a good thing because it's a key selling point, very important to be different, or like Niko said, the alternative of Uruguay.
Yeah. If you, as I told you earlier, we don't like the monologues. So if you have any question or any aspect you want to talk a little bit more about Uruguay in general, let me know or let us know. If not, we can start talking about the wines and the winemaking style of Viña Progreso. But during that, we're gonna continue talking about Uruguay and talking about our town, Progreso. So if you have any question, go ahead.
Please ask.
You are not shy people. You sell wine, so you can ask.
Well, first of all, the varieties that the grapes that I am using are are grapes that I mean, why I choose those grapes is a very personal decision. I feel in the whites, I do a Viognier in a very young style, totally different as you can expect from France. And I choose Viognier because I wanted to go to be far from the Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, that are two varieties that, well, here in Uruguay, but also in all of the world, is planted a lot, and everybody has a Chardonnay and a Sauvignon Blanc. So I choose the Viognier in order to be well known, because it's not a not known grape, but it's not that international as Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc. So I choose the Viognier for that reason. And in the reds, it's the same. With Tannat, of course, is our main grape. Is what people is expecting from Uruguay. We sell in Brazil, in France, in the UK, something in Belgium también, and everybody asks for the Tannat first. Then, when they know the winery, like the wines and everything, they you also have a Cabernet Franc. Let's taste it. But first of all, the Tannat is what our focus.
And we learned that in the US as well, because when we started with Shelby and Copafina, Shelby had our Cabernet Franc, Shelby had our Sangiovese as well, that we have a Sangiovese. But then we realized, with the experience working the market, and I think that it happened the same with you guys in the rest of the country, Uruguay is about Tannat, mostly. Then you can, when you develop the brand and people understand the Tannat and people like the wines, maybe then you have a chance for other wines. But Uruguay, in the US and in the rest of the world, is mostly about Tannat, and that's why we're gonna focus this talk in the 4 different Tannat that Copafina have from us, and then at the end we can talk about all other wines we have, other experimental wines we are doing, that maybe in the future you can have in the portfolio.
I was talking about the Tannat because it's not that we choose that grape. I mean, we choose the grape, but also like the grape choose Uruguay to really develop. And actually, Uruguay today is a country with more Tannat planted in the world. That is not a lot, but it's enough for us. And it's not because a long time ago they decide to plant Tannat for anything. No, it was like at the beginning, all the immigrants from Europe they bring to South America, also to the States, the kind of grapes they used to grow in where they used to live. So the Italians bring Italian varieties, and the French the same. Well, the Basque people took the Tannat to Uruguay, and then every year the Tannat was great in harvest time, you know. So other people continue plant the Tannat, and the neighborhood start plant the Tannat. Was like this. Today, our country is mostly Tannat, and it's because of that. Because every year we have a good vintage with Tannat, and luckily we have that in order to be different. Like we were saying, imagine that our best wines were from Cabernet Sauvignon. They would be really hard to sell because everybody has Cabernet Sauvignon. With the Tannat, we produce a very fine wine, you know, in the way we do it, and well, it's what people is expecting from the country. So, talking about the kind of wines that I like to do are always wines with personality. I don't want the wine that you tasted right now and then you forgot about the wine. I want that the wine tell you something that is in general. With what I try to do is to show all the wines are from Progreso, but then we have like different places where we pick the grapes, and we try to reflect very much our terroir. I am not the kind of winemaker who use a lot of correction to the wine. I prefer to the wine to be as natural as it can. Just doing little precision. Like if I feel that the wine needs some air, I give some air. Like I'm always listening to the wine and not try to change a lot what it comes from the field. Okay, the main difference between all the Tannats are the concentration. Is the concentration. It's just because for the Revolution Tannat, that is my first, I let more grapes per hectare. You understand that? So it's a way of lowering a little bit the price and express actually really well also, but it's a Tannat that is soft, really, really easygoing to drink. None of my Tannats are the famous Tannat from Madiran that are really, really, really hard and really difficult to drink. You need a really cold night with a really fatty beef and these things in order to enjoy those kind of wines. Also, normally you need to wait for, I don't know, 5-6 years in order to those wines be able to drink it. No, in what we do is nothing like that. We respect very much the grape, like we show the best, but also we don't want to show the bad things about having a lot of tannins. We like the tannins, but always round and mature. That is the main difference between Uruguay and Madiran. For them, it's impossible to mature the tannins for the climate. Here, luckily again, our grapes mature really, really well. Also, we are not in a warm area. That is other thing that people could think about Uruguay. We have a climate that now is very warm because we are in the middle of the summer, and it's hot. But normally we never have a. I am going to talk about Celsius. It's not Fahrenheit. I don't know how to do, but then you can look. It's very hard for us for having more than 30 degrees Celsius. 30 is hot, is what is outside now, but it's not the 40 or 45 that they can have in, I don't know, in South Africa or even in Mendoza. So our maturation process of the grapes is very slow because warm during the day and then during the night with the influence of the sea, we have a really cold a really cold wind that comes from the south, from the Patagonia, Argentina. That is really, really cold. So during the night, we go down to sometimes 15 degrees. So half of the temperature every day, and that is very good for the maduration. It makes the maduration process slow, and it gives time to develop a lot of things. So at the beginning, I was talking about the style of the Tannat, and then with the first wine that I told you, I ferment in concrete vats. I don't use stainless steel. I just use stainless steel for the white. But then all my reds are fermented in concrete. I always start the fermentation with native yeast. I let them. I make a cold maceration before the fermentation. Okay, so we pick by hand. It's another thing that is important, mostly in all of the country, but for us, the size of the winery that I didn't tell you. I produce every year 40,000 kilograms of grapes. So I do 40,000 bottles, roughly. Some years.
How big are the concrete?
I have a different, normally 6 kilograms, 6 or 7,000 liters. I have one of 10,000 liters, and this is the biggest. And also I have some for doing some of the wines of 500 liters, 1,000 liters, 2,000. I have luckily different vats in order to use the one that I think is better. See, but I always prefer to ferment everything separately and then doing the blend myself than fermenting in big tanks, because then you have only one result, and then if I ferment in I don't know 3 of 2,000, even the grapes are the same, the yeast are the same, the temperature of fermentation is the same. The wines at the end of the day are going to be 3 different wines, very similar but different. So I do the blend that I like. Well, I let the fermentation start alone, and then, like in the middle of fermentation, I add the yeast in order to be sure that fermentation is going to be over. Okay, um, I am kind of lazy winemaker. I don't like to pump over a lot or I just do punch down one or twice, and then I do a very little and very gentle pump over one or twice a day, and that's it. One thing that I learned about Uruguay is that long time ago winemakers used to over extract, to extract all the good things, but then continue extracting all that hard tannins. And so for me, I prefer having a little less color, okay, but a wine that is much more enjoyable to drink. For me, it's an easy decision. And that time, Uruguay is not exporting wine for a long time. Well, 30, 40 years, but it's nothing compared with the other countries exporting wine. So they really need to define a style, and they decide that style. Some wineries are continue doing that, but every time less wineries, because it's something that you feel when you go outside and drink with the people and talk about, we do the wines that we like, but we always listen to the public because it's the people who is drinking our wines. So fermentation, maybe 2 weeks of fermentation with the skins. Temperature about 20, 22 Celsius. I like to ferment a little cool compared with the average temperature for the red. Looking for the same, not to over extract something that then I regret. Tannat is a grape that is huge in color, in everything. So we don't need to extract everything. That at least that my style is what I try to do, and I am happy and doing well.
Well, talking a little bit about that first wine, the Revolution Tannat, which is we don't like to say entry level, but it's our less expensive wine in our portfolio. The idea with this wine, with the name and with the style of the wine, is what I said earlier, like to change that reputation that Uruguay had for many years, that I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, people thought about Tannat from Uruguay as they always remember those big red wines, over-extracted and with a lot of like 1 year or 2 years in oak. So you continue having those wines in Uruguay, but our idea is to change that idea, to show that Uruguay is way more than that, and to change, and that is the idea with the revolution, Tannat. That to show that with the same grape, we can do a more like enjoyable style of wine for everyone.
No, and one thing that is true is that is the future of Uruguay. The wineries that are still doing that style are selling domestically and has no future to grow. All the young people of the Uruguay wine world is a little bit following me in order to change that a little bit. Well, then in the same wine, then after fermentation, go to barriques, to barrels, regular barrels, used ones for 2 or 3 wines. So it gives to the wine a little bit of character, but very little. I use it more for the micro oxygenation. It helps to round the tannins. And I let the wine in the barrel for 4 to 6 months. It depends of the harvest. I mean, depend of the wine. And then The next wine that is called Overground is a orange label. The main difference is about what I said at the beginning, the concentration of the grapes. You know, for doing the Overground Tannat, I do more green harvest, so I have less crop, and that give us more concentrated wine. Then the process is almost the same, and maybe I let the wine in oak a couple months more, but just looking for the same, not for the character of the smell of vainilla, cocoa. They think chocolate. They think that the oak can give you. No, just in order to have the micro oxygenation to mature more the tannins. This is the wine that I am talking right now. It's Tannat, and it's not the revolution. It's the Overground Tannat.
In Viña Progreso, we have our portfolio separated between the overground wines and the underground wines. This is something that I had to thanks to Shelby and to Copafina, because when we met in 2019, in our labels, we didn't have that. We used to say that we had the Reserva wines and the Gran Reserva wines. So when Shelby decided to start working with us, we talked about that, and a very intelligent businesswoman, she told us that, guys, why you are talking about Reserva and Gran Reserva being so progressive and being so experimental? So let's change that. So with Gabriel, we decided to talk about the overground wines, and that are the wines that are more easy for us to do or to find. And then we have the underground wines, which are the wines that are like more difficult to do or to find the grapes for those wines. And I think that this is great. It's great for our style of winery. And then we change the labels to the rest of our markets. So for us, it was very, very important that, and I have to thank Shelby for that.
We wanted to change that. Also, we didn't know how to do it, and we were asking, because also the Reserva and Gran Reserva are things that are related with Spain, and in Spain with the time in the quantity of time in oak, they decide if it is Reserva or Gran Reserva. Something that is nothing the same with us. So, like Niko said, we changed, and even now here in Uruguay, we talk about overground and underground ranges. Well, the third Tannat that I want to talk about is different. It's not that the first two. It's an old vineyard that Lauren, when it was in Uruguay, so it's a very old vineyard that I am not the owner. I buy the grapes from somebody who prefers that I do the wine for him. I mean, he's an old guy and he used to do his own wine, but now he doesn't want to do it anymore. It's too old, so he gives me the grapes, and I pay him with wine. So both are very happy. Now I am taking care even of the vineyard. He let me take care completely. It's a very, very small lot. I do maybe between 2,000 and 3,000 bottles, and not every year, because it's a vineyard that some year, when it is like this year, that is extremely dry, I don't know if it's going to mature enough, because the vineyard are very old, and they prefer to preserve themselves in order to live more years than to mature the grapes. Of course, in a normal year, it's going to happen, but this year, until now, is really, 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 really dry. So, well, let's see. Maybe I can do it. I don't know because it's still mature. Well, that wine, I do it, yes, with a lot of passion. It's a very nice piece of nature that is there, and I try to take care a lot. And then the last Tannat, it calls Elisa's Dreams. That is like my icon wine or premium, I don't know how to call it. And it's a wine that I have my heart. It put in that wine because it was my first wine that I start doing it. And then I create Viña Progreso because I need to sell to continue doing the wines. And this wine, the main difference is that, well, it's picked by hand like all the others, but then this one, it doesn't see any machines. We destem by hand. We ferment directly in an open barrel. It calls fermentation integral vinification, we call it. It's not important. But I was the first in the country doing that in 2009 in small bats. Now, a lot of wineries are doing it because it really works. We destem by hand, and I let the fermentation start with native yeast, but different with the other wines, I don't add commercial yeast at all. I let the wine ferment all with the native yeast. It's in an open barrel, a traditional 225 liters barrel. I took out one of the tops of the barrel, and I put the grapes there, and then I do a punch down with my hand, twice, 3 times a day, and that's it. The vinification is long, the fermentation is very long, maybe doubles than in the others because the yeast, are slow. But in this kind of wine that you are not looking just for the fruit, you are looking for well, lot of things. Imagine that Shelby is selling now 2011, so it's a wine that it has more than 10 years. And then if you have the opportunity to taste it, please, because it's really it's a pleasure, because the wine is much more higher and better than when I was expecting. It grows with the time in a really, really, really good way. Lot of people told us that it's look like a good Bordeaux, and that for us it's a good compliment because we were not expecting, but it developed really, really, really well. So if you have the opportunity, please. I don't want to explain because it has a lot of things, very round in mouth with aromas of primary fruit, secondary, time in oak, third, I don't know how to say it in English, tertiary aromas, so it's beautiful. And that's it. That was my last Tannat. Then, like Niko said, I do the Viognier, then a Cabernet Franc, Sangiovese. And now that Lauren, I know that she knows, but I don't know Shelby. I am doing 2 more wines, skin contact white, almost also with Viognier, and a pet nat that last year I did for first time with Torrontés, and this year 2023, if I can, I didn't do it now, but I'm trying to do it with Alvarinho. So I think it could be really cool to have an Alvarinho in with bubbles. Nobody is doing it now. So I think it could work really well. And I hope, who knows, maybe in the future you have it also.
Okay, if you have any question or any one of the guys that already I saw in the list of the participants now, and any one of the guys that already know our wines or they already work with me in the US want to say something, it would be nice.
Because
I remember some of the faces or some of the moments that we have with some of you opening that 2011 Sueños de Lisa Tannat, and I think that our moment that you will never forget, the face of those clients, like very surprised with the wine and telling that it was like a Bordeaux, like a very good Bordeaux from Uruguay.
Imagine that I was not expecting this kind of evolution. Imagine when you give the wine to somebody who maybe doesn't know about anything about Uruguay. And the winery, and that's it. It's like the winery is us, we are with a lot of passion, and we want to help, any of you in any time with any question. It's very easy to find us. It's just you can write, and we are going to answer really fast. So I don't know. I want to thank you again, and wait for if someone of you wants to do any question.
And Lauren knows that we live from this. It's like we don't have like any other business. We don't have any like big investment or big money behind supporting this. It's all made by hand, by us. It's like the marketing or the labels, and we didn't talk about the labels, but the labels are like drawings from Elisa, which is the Gabriel aunt. So imagine that. It's like we don't hire a designer company to design like a fancy or funky label for a market. No, it's a label that we like, and we want to communicate something different in the wine business. So for us, it's very passionate, and we live from this. It's like Gabriel, he lives in the middle of the vineyard. I live here in Progreso town. We have kids, and the kids are like with us during harvest. So for us, it's more like a way of living than a business. Besides, we sell wine, and we want to sell more because we think that we have a big potential with our wines and with the market and with you guys, of course. But for us, it's a way of living. We like to live from this. Like I like to travel and to visit the market and to spend time with you and drink other wines and to talk about politics live or whatever. So for us, it's a way of living that we like, and we have to thank you for let us having this way of living. So because you are part of this.
Yes. Perfect.
Are you scheduled to come to the US at all?
Not yet. My idea is to visit the market in April. So anyone that you want to receive me, you are allowed to talk with Lauren, and you can fight with her in order to receive me. No, but the idea is to visit like April and then maybe September. I don't know yet, but that is the idea for this 2023.
Okay. Awesome. I took the overground out to the market, and it showed really well. Really well. And you have a lot of information on the tech sheets and the websites. And one of the things I saw that you harvest in phases as well.
Yes, it's in a way earlier. Thank you for the question, because it's very important. Earlier I said that I prefer ferment 3 different tanks to have 3 different wines instead of one. With the harvest is the same. imagine that you have a plot, and it may be 10 rows. It's natural. The grapes are never at the same time maturation in all the plants, you know. So, it's your decision to think is the best time for picking. But then, if you pick, you are always guessing. Maybe I need 2 more days, or maybe was 2 days earlier. So what I like to do is to ferment. To It's more work, but allows me to. It's like different colors to paint. You know, it's something that complement one thing, complement the other, and I do the blends. So I choose what I like of every wine.
And you know, in the case of the overground, in my opinion, which is very personal, it's one of the best examples of a not typical wine from Uruguay, but what I think it should be like a good expression of Uruguay. It's like the revolution is less than what I expect from Uruguay. It's good, but it's less. And the old vines and the Sueños de Lisa is another thing. I think that the overground Tannat is a very good like flagship Tannat from Uruguay. So, and the price point is good because it's 24, 25, something like that, or a little bit less. And for Uruguay, it's a good price point because, for example, Garzon, which is a big one and everything, one of the best seller wine from Garzon is between 20, 22 US dollars. So we are in a good position with that wine in terms of price in the market. So, and I think that is a good example for Uruguay because I have been working in the market for many years, so I know that maybe paying 40 or 60 or 50 or $60 for a wine of Uruguay, it would be very, very hard to find the place. But between 18 and 25, we are in a good position. So that one is a very good wine to sell, to move.
One other thing that is a selling point that is good is that this wine and all of the wines are very good with food. I mean, are wines that I am making those wines in order to drink with food. Even when I am doing the blends and everything, in my mind, I like to cook, and I like to cook, but more I like to eat good food. So always when I am blending, and I am sure all of you too, because the wine and food business is the same. Those are wines that are going to be really, really good with food because, and not only with a big fatty steak. Of course, with meat is a good match, but it doesn't matter. It could be chicken, you know, could be even grilled fatty fish. It's a very flexible wines in terms of food. Could be pasta, could be anything, empanada, whatever you wanted to say. It's going to be better always. It's not a wine. Of course, you can drink it alone, but it's always better with food.
Well, now I think that we talk enough. You listen a lot about us and about the winery. We will continue like waiting for your question. We don't have any rush. You know, we like this and we are enjoying this. But I would love to listen to Lauren, you know, because she was in Uruguay. And I want to listen what she has to say about Uruguay, about their winery, about what she has experimented in Uruguay.
Not about us.
Is this a test? All right. No, I did. I was able to visit these guys back in November, and I didn't know what to expect from Uruguay. I had been down to South America a few times, Mendoza and Chile, and it's really different. Uruguay is much different than I expected. It's something that I definitely noticed was how progressive of a country it is in general, not just Progreso, but the restaurants, the caliber of restaurants were diverse, and there was nightlife, and there's all these great towns that I really enjoyed. And so it's, I think, a place that we can not only talk about like, oh, these are really cool wines, but talk about Uruguay as a region. It's not a place that people know. So you're really opening up a new corner of the world to them. A funny fact that I say a lot is there are 4 times as many cows in Uruguay as there are people. It is a very vast open landscape, rolling hills. And it just feels very like comforting and homey to me as a country. I really enjoyed it. And these 2 are excellent hosts. So I'm sure if any of you wanted to go down, they'd be happy to receive you. We had lunch with the family, and they took me on tours of vineyards, and it was a really, really great experience.
We are like a very, thank you, Lauren. We are like a very exotic country, but not in a like tropical or Caribbean way. We are in a more laid back, and we like to say hippie chic style in Uruguay. That we are like that. We are very progressive. We are very humble. We have like our big neighbors like Argentina next to us and Buenos Aires. So we have the porteños over there. So we are very close, but we are different. We are very humble people, very welcoming people, because tourism is one of our like number 1 income. Like after exporting beef, we receive people in Uruguay. Like we only are 3 million people, and we receive 4 million tourists every year. So for us, we are a very welcoming country. And as Lauren said, and she experimented, we have a very laid back style of living.
One thing that for you, for having an idea, then look the size of the country in the map, please. And then you compare with the rest of South America. If you put Uruguay in Europe, we are not bad. Smaller than France and Spain and everything, but bigger than some others. But in South America, really, we are tiny. So it's just in order, when we talk about 3 million people, maybe you can't understand the whole country. Even Lauren was asking if we have
the president.
If we have president, because we are too small,
Yeah, the whole country. I mean, I live in Southern California. LA proper county is nearly 13 million people, which is, 4 times as much as your whole country. So I was joking and go, oh, we call that a mayor.
But for sure, Lauren, and we drive a lot in Uruguay. You saw more cows than people.
I did. It was beautiful. And honestly, the people were so nice. The vibes were incredible. I have wonderful memories.
Good. Any other?
Hey guys, I may...
Yes.
No, sorry. If I may, I just want to say I love your wines, and I really appreciate. I'm Phil from 802 Distributors in Vermont, and I just wanted to say that I've taken your wines out a number of times now, and they're always very well received, and they're very unique as far as like other Tannats that I've had prior to this, and that they're lighter and they're fresher and they're brighter in style. And I think I picked up on what you said about not over extracting, and I think that's pretty much key is why your style is so unique and different. I really appreciate that. I just want to give you that feedback. Interestingly enough, I was on a work trip a couple weeks ago. I was in South Africa for 10 days, and one of the things that, I mean, as you're probably aware of, Pinotage is a grape that is sort of their claim to fame, if you will, but not that many people are in love with Pinotage because it tends to come through as like this burning tire sensation oftentimes. And a number of the producers we met with actually, their Pinotages were not like that, and they were excellent. And the reason being was they said that they don't over-extract, and they found that if you over-extract Pinotage, you get that burning tire thing going on. So it's amazing how much, extraction plays a part, obviously, in the role of the wine and the end result of the wine. So I just really appreciate you guys. I also wanted to say that I used your Revolution Tannat in wine club that we do for some of our retailers back in December, and it was very well received. Everybody loved it. So I really appreciate you guys and what you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Phil. Now I had to come back to Vermont. I want to come back.
Yeah,
to Vermont.
I would love to have you come back. Yeah,
when I
just
was
ride
there with you and your colleague. You didn't have our wines. We did a tasting, and now that you have the wines in the market, I will come back. because it was
That'd be awesome. We'd love to have you. We'd love to host you.
It's a place that I really like. Lauren knows that I like road tripping in the US. So for me, driving from Boston to Vermont, it was an incredible experience. So I want to come back. Thank you, Peter.
Love to have you. Cheers.
And you know what you say about the thing in South Africa. It was the same than here. It was the same in Mendoza. Also, a little bit in the States, because it was because of the journalist. One journalist was not at that moment. I don't know. They didn't know. They pay more attention in journalists than what we do now. I mean, we respect everybody, but I understand very much if my wine is not your style, because there's so many styles in the world that it's not fair. It's not fair that one mind taste the wine, like putting numbers. I respect. I need to work. We send samples to some journalists, but at that time, everybody wants to have points for that journalist. So that's the reason that Uruguayan wines, South African Pinotage, Malbecs, over oak, overripe, and over extract. That is really something that happened.
Well, Niko, I think that it is helpful to acknowledge, though, that sometimes we get great ratings, and that the old vines just did get 93 points from Wine Enthusiast, which I think is a really wonderful showcase for Uruguay. So everybody, if you haven't tried that bottled lately, oh my gosh, it's tasting fantastic, and you should definitely pull it out and give it a look.
I had to work in the marketing material for that. That we send wine to those kind of like magazines, or we send wine to James Acklin. Now tomorrow we will receive Tannat here at the winery. He's supposed to come today, but later today, but he lost the flight from London, so it's coming tomorrow. But the way we work, we don't pay much attention to the points.
We thanks, and we are glad and we are happy when we have good points. But almost we understand if the wine was not in the right place in the right moment. So that was what I tried to say. I prefer much more listen to Phil talking about the good comeback feedback from the revolution. It makes me more happy than having the numbers.
No,
what I'm trying to say.
Like we pay more attention to that. Like besides we send the wine to wine and enthusiast or wine and spirit or wherever, we pay more attention to this kind of feedback, to that, or the feedback of Shelby when we send samples, to that feedback. We know that it's important. We know that in some places or for some clients or some markets, it's important. But the way we work and the size of our winery
and the kind of wines we do,
and the kind of wine we do is that it doesn't change much the sales, So, but yes, we are happy with those points, and we know that tomorrow when Tim is gonna taste the wine with us, he's gonna love all the wines and the new wines. So, but yeah.
We hope.
Any other comment?
Perfect. Well, yeah, I think that we want to be respectful of everyone's time, and this has been really lovely to get to see the dynamic between. We get to have Niko in the market, but not always Gabriel, and seeing the dynamic between the two of you guys, I think, really helps bring to life that this is a small project, that it is the two of you, that you're there, and it is very much a project of passion and enthusiasm. And I hope that everyone learned something today to help take that into the market and go spread the good word of Tannat in Uruguay.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelby. As always, you know that how thankful I am with you, with this, since we started, and all this. We have the pandemic in the middle. During January, I had like Instagram was remember me about our visit that January in 2020 with all the expectations we had and everything. And for us, it's like the support we feel from you and from Lauren and the whole team it was awesome because we are a small winery starting in the market. We have a lot to do and a lot to develop, and the potential is great. And I know that you realize with the time that selling Uruguay is not easy. I told you that because I was like 10 years looking for an importer.
The right importer.
The right importer.
Yeah.
But I think that the potential is big for Uruguay and for our wines. So I have to thank you and to thank everyone for the time and for having our wines and to try to help us to continue with our way of living.
Yeah. Well, no one wants to drink Napa Valley Cabernet every single day. So thank you for giving us wonderful options to diversify and expand our selections. And we look forward to spreading that around with the rest of the market.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to meet new people this year. Like I want to continue discovering the US.
Ciao.
Thank you.
You.
You all guys, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.